If you've ever opened up a tarot deck and found it warped, slightly curved, maybe even bowing, before you assume that it's poor quality, let's talk about what's actually happening. So stick around and let's get into it. So before I get into the meat of this video, I want to show you some of the decks that I have in my collection that are suffering, like being warped. You see this? If I just lay it. And this one is not even close to really bad. It's something here though. Not exactly sure. This is the Magicians, Martyrs, and Madmen Tarot. And this one is definitely like off a little bit. And this one is by Travis McHenry. But this is also, this is a rock pool deck. But I'm going to show you some of my other decks so that you can see. Like, here's one. All of my Seasons of the Witch. Every single one of them is bowed. Let me show you what I mean. Not sure if you can see that. So if I lay it down, you can see it's really up in this corner, right? It's really up in this corner too. So it's like bending up this way. They're all like that. And these are all also rock pool cardstock. So let me show you some of the other ones. This one I even store in a box that I created, and the box is sealed and it's pretty tight, so it stays in that. I mean, it's not completely airtight, but I mean, it's pretty decent, right? Look at this one. This is my Thoth Tarot. Look at how badly warped that is. Watch when I lay it down. It doesn't, not even close to laying flat. It's horrendous. So that's another one. And I stored in something different. And this is coated. This whole box is also coated like in a Mod Podge, right? Here's another one. I just got this. My husband surprised me with it. This is Tell Me You Love Me Oracle. Another rock pool. I literally just got this. It's something about the corners. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if you can see that. Even my, oh, this one's pretty bad. Oracle of the Hecatean Path. This one is a Low Scarabeo. This one's really bad. Look at that. You see that? Now look at. It's the corners that curve up. It's something to do with this cardstock and the coating. I don't know. In my environment. This is why I love linen so much. Because linen decks Let me show you another new one that I just got. This one right here, the Codex. This is by Daniel Martin Diaz. Granted, the tuck boxes really do, I think, keep pressure on them. So it helps with not warping. But I mean, and this can also cause problems with like fanning. Oh my gosh, that just fans so beautifully, right? Look at that, just like butter. Oh my goodness. So if it's warped, it's also not going to fan properly. But this is a beautiful, thin, coated both sides with a linen texture. I have several of these now from Daniel Martin Diaz, and not one of them has warped on me, but they're all this beautiful, linen-y material. Same with my Make Playing cards. Any of the decks that I have that are the linen just hold up so beautifully. So that's what I want to talk to you today about. So because not every warp deck is a printing flaw, you know what? I'll go through this. I'll do a walkthrough of this. So because not every warp deck is a printing flaw, and not every cardstock issue is creator mistakes. Sometimes it is the climate. Sometimes it's storage, and sometimes it's just how paper behaves. Most tarot and oracle decks are made from layered paper core. Cellulose fibers pressed together into cardstock. And paper is hygroscopic, which means that it absorbs and releases moisture from the air. So when humidity rises, those fibers swell. And when humidity drops, they shrink. If that movement happens unevenly between the inner core and the ink and the outer coating, the tension builds, and that tension causes bowing. So what you are seeing when a deck warps is often environmental response, not necessarily poor quality. Sorry about the sound, guys. That is unavoidable. Now, climate plays a much bigger role in this than most people even realize. I've got all my notes over here because I'm sure I would flub it up. So, if you live somewhere where humid summers and dry winters, especially places with strong indoor heating, your decks go through expansion and contraction cycles every year. The paper expands in summer and it contracts in the wintertime. Expands again and contracts again. Over time, those fibers can settle into a slight curve. The biggest stressor isn't humidity alone, it's rapid fluctuation. So paper loves stability. Yes, I'm having fun with my nails. I'm sure they're not going to stick around long because I cannot even type in these damn things, but it's fun. Now let's talk about which types of decks tend to warp more. But this is important for both creators and collectors, right? This information is important for everybody. So thin cards tend to flex. Thick cards tend to bow. Interestingly, thicker cardstock can sometimes warp more dramatically than thinner cards. We tend to think thicker means sturdier. But thicker cards often have multiple plies and coatings. in the inner core, if the inner core absorbs moisture but the outer layers resist it, tension builds. And then the thicker cards hold that tension more visibly. So you're going to see it, where it rocks more. So other factors that can increase the likelihood of warping include heavy, full bleed ink coverage. So a card like this, right? The full ink coverage can make a card like this warp more than something even like this. If you have something with a lot of white space in comparison to something that's all black, and especially if it goes all the way from edge to edge, I think that can also cause more problems. We tend to think that, oh, I'm sorry, wrong part. So other factors that increase the likelihood of warping include, like I said, the heavy full bleed ink coverage, especially very dark decks, smooth matte or gloss coatings, very large format cards, and uncoated porous cardstock. On the other hand, linen finish decks often behave better. That subtle, embossed texture allows for more balanced moisture exchange and reduces surface tension across the card surfaces. And decks stored in tins often perform better as well. We're going to be talking about ways to store your decks better, looking for what types of cards to look for. And this is not for everybody. It's going to be dependent upon what your environment is also like. I live in Michigan, and our weather, we are definitely a four season, but it's become so erratic, it's not even a seasonal thing. Like 2 days ago in February, well, 3 days ago, roughly, it was almost 60 degrees here in February, which is usually the coldest month of the year, right? And then a few days later, it's snowing again and freezing. And the week before that, it was below zero, freezing. So it affects everything, right? And the stormy weather, all that. And it's just the volatile seasons, right? So for creators, it's not about blame. It's about understanding the materials. So a professionally printed deck can still warp in certain environments, but creators can make informed choices considering linen finish for climate stability, ensuring balanced coating on both sides of the card, which I have seen, and I love it. I think it's really cool, but you will see sometimes where it's like a matte on one side and a gloss on the other side. That can create problems. Depending on your environment that you live in, right? So ensuring balanced coating on both sides of the card, being mindful of heavy ink saturation, testing cardstock, samples in different humidity conditions, even offering tin packaging in volatile climates. Exactly. So I want to show you, that's one of the things that I love about Make Plain cards. This is one of mine that I sell on Make Plain cards. It comes, you don't have to, but one of the options is to have it with the tin. And these are, my copy is gilded, and it's linen on both front and back. And not only does it fan like a dream, not only does it shuffle like a dream, but it doesn't warp. They do not warp on me. Having the tin helps with that also. So, understanding that paper behavior is part of design. It's not just aesthetics, it's material science. So now if your deck is already warped, don't panic. In many cases, it is reversible. Okay, and that's where I need to go through my collection, because let me tell you, I have so many decks that are warped because of living in Michigan. And that's why I pulled out all of these cards to show you that it doesn't necessarily have to mean a cheaper cardstock. There's various cardstocks that do this. some that were expensive. My Bonestone and Earth Flush Tarot, it's the original, right, that I got many years ago. That's warped. It's only slightly warped, and the cardstock is excellent. I was never happy with the gilding on it, which I'll show you that. Let me take a sip. Oh, my goodness. I'm also sorry. I'm a little bit under the weather, so if you hear it in my voice, I am sorry. But life goes on, right? Man, that is a heavy-duty book. I'll show you. And this one came in two different sides. It wasn't all one big stack. But it doesn't look bad, right? It's curved. It's bouncy. It's not extreme, but I keep it in the box. Look at how bad that is. And that happened pretty early on, because I did not really care for the gilding. It was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it did not last long before it rubbed off. I don't know if that was a printing flaw or what, but yeah. But this is not cheap cardstock by any means. It is beautifully done cardstock. So it is not always a poor production, if that's what you're thinking. It is simply, it can be simply your environment and knowing what kind of cards that work in your own specific environment where you live in the world. So here is the safest method on how to reverse it, okay? So if your deck comes in a large, hard presentation box, like most of ours do, like, let me show you. Like one of these or something, right? This is bowed slightly. This is thicker cardstock, but it's not too terrible. But take it out of the box, remove the cards from the box, square them carefully. So place the deck inside of a breathable, like mesh bag or something like that, or create like a metal sleeve if you still have the metal sleeve that it came with, or not metal, paper sleeve that it came with, or you want to wrap it in cotton or something like that. Make sure that you have it on a flat surface, and then the flat surface on top of it, you want to make sure that that weight is centered on it. So let me see if I can show you what I mean. This is not bowed by any means, but square it away. And I do suggest wrapping it in something. A mesh bag. Mesh because it's like, it's open, right? It's airy. And then just start putting. Now you want to make sure that the weight covers the entire thing. So, I mean, you can use bigger like this, but make sure it's centered. Make sure anything else that you stick on top of it is centered on it so that the weight is distributed evenly. And it's really hard for me to show you what I mean, but you could take like big books, thick, heavy books, and just do a big stack of them. And then I would say put it on like a flat surface or a tray or something like that. That way you can put it up above somewhere or put it on a table or whatever to keep it out of the way for like about, I don't know, 7 days, 5 to 7 days. And hopefully slowly it will bring your cards back to being flat. Now, it says that slow correction is the key. Do not bend the cards manually. Do not use heat. Do not steam them. Pressure should be flat and evenly distributed. Now, an important nuance, mesh versus plastic. Mesh tarot bags are ideal for pressing because another thing that I had thought was maybe to put it in a plastic baggie in order to keep the humidity out of it. But the thing is, if you're in a high humidity area or they are highly humid already, you're just locking that into it rather than letting it slowly breathe. So you don't want to do that. Mesh taro bags are ideal for pressing because they allow airflow while keeping the deck contained and squared. Plastic bags should only be used carefully and intentionally. For example, if you are reconditioning a deck with a humidity pack in a controlled environment. So sealing a deck in airtight plastic in a humid room can trap excess moisture and make things even worse. So if your deck feels damp or soft from high humidity, let it stabilize first in a room around 40 to 50% humidity before pressing it. Never press a deck that feels swollen. You want the fibers neutral, not saturated. And see, because I live in Michigan, I've got the lakes all around me, so I have lake effect, right? So humidity is always quite high. I think until people actually come here and realize it, Michigan is highly humid. Highly, highly humid. As far as storage goes, your environment does matter. So if you live in a high seasonal swing climate, store decks in boxes, not in bags, okay? That's, again, it depends on your environment, but it is better to keep them more sealed away in the boxes that keeps them out of the direct. Anyways, let me finish, okay? So, if you live in consistently humid areas, avoid basements, use dehumidifiers, and ensure airflow. If you live in very dry climates, a small humidifier in winter can prevent brittleness and edging curl. So you've seen how mine, like this one, how on the edges, and it came like that, but this came from Amazon. We have a huge Amazon warehouse here, so it's in the same climate. So if it's stored in the warehouse for a month, it does that. So it already came to me warped. And there's no sense of just getting another one because they're all going to be like that because of the environment. So consistency is more important than dryness. Paper wants balance. And finally, not every warp deck is a flaw. Sometimes it is production quality, but often it's climate, it's seasonal change, it's storage, it's the natural behavior of paper. So before we assign any blame, which I'm not saying that the people are doing that, this is more about just understanding where that comes from, and don't keep returning your decks if you do have, you see a lot of warping that comes from it. It could be that, but if you keep on getting them back and they're all warped, it's because it's your environment, it's your climate. So, your deck isn't necessarily defective. It may simply be responding to its environment. And when we understand that as creators and collectors, we can make more informed, empowered choices. So this is one of the other reasons that I love linen cardstock so much, because of my environment here in Michigan. And it doesn't really matter. Like, even, I'll show you this one. This is a high quality deck. This was indie, right? And this one is also like puffy. I remember I got, I think it was the Hedgewitch Tarot. Look at that. It curves up on all the edges. And this is the Victorian Fairy Tarot. You can see it's bowed. Yeah. It's beautiful. But the Hedgewitch one, when I got that, even I was like, oh my gosh, because even my pages of the book were all like sticking together and it was like crunching. It's because it had been in the storehouse, you know, in the warehouse. And it was during the summertime, and it was so friggin' humid, and it had been raining, I think, that time, I don't know, for about a week. So the humidity was making everything stick together. It was not a flaw of the deck or the book or anything. It was simply my environment. So tins are wonderful because they create like a little micro environment inside of them. They are sealed really good, and they're not porous, so it keeps your decks really nice. Now, another thing I want to suggest, if you have some decks that have come that they're warped, flatten them, like what I just told you, you know, showed you. Do it over a longer period of time. You don't want to try to stress them back into place. You want to try to put heavy things on them, leave them in something that lets them breathe so that it'll naturally like straighten itself out. Make sure that it's level. And then if you want to get, even for just existing decks, you can go to Make Playing Cards and you can buy just these, just the tins, the tarot size tins, and they have other size tins as well. You can buy them in bulk, right, for a really good price. So if you know you live in an environment that is like that, tin storage is really good. Then you can get yourself a really nice basket and then put them in the basket. I'll show you one of mine. Hang on just a second. Okay, so this is one of them. It's just a short little basket. And you see, I have like these ledges on my desk, so I can actually put this right underneath, which I do have it over on my side. But these are mainly like my decks from Make Playing Cards in the tins. And it's a great way to keep them, you know, stored. So here's another thing that you can do. If you didn't want to buy them with the tins, which I understand because it is more expensive. I think it's $10 to $12 more just for the tin if you do it that way. However, something that you can do is take like some of the decks that you have, and if you want to get tins, like I said, you can buy them from Make Playing Cards in bulk. They're just plain. They don't have anything on them. But then you can take an image of one of the cards in your deck. Or you can create your own image and put your own wording on it, whatever you want to do. Print it off on your printer, and then just take Mod Podge or double-sided sticky tape or whatever you want and affix it right to the cover. And then you have, I prefer, if you don't have it, using Mod Podge, because Mod Podge will, it'll like seal it also. Like that's Mod Podge. Just a regular piece of paper, and then I Mod Podge it. This is on wood, but it would work the same on metal. So, yeah. But it really keeps the environment. And they're great for storing. I'm just looking through. I can't remember what all I got. Yeah, okay. They even have little Lenormand size. This is also one of them that I've created. When I started the study, I just created another Lenormand that nobody's seen yet. I love it. It's the Covenant Lenormand. And it's like witchy. But yes. So there you go, guys. I hope that you have found this beneficial for you if you do also have warping in any of your decks. So leave me a comment down below. Is this something that you have experienced? And if it is something that you have experienced, what cardstocks do you notice that it happens more in your environment? And what kind of environment do you have? And have you corrected this? If you've corrected it, what kind of future storing do you keep your decks in your environment? So either make a video on this. I would love to see this because this is important stuff for tarot collectors and people that love their tarot. regardless of what size collection you have. Because it's not just people that live in Michigan. It's people with varying, you know, either you live in a very dry environment or a very humid, or you go through all of the different, you know, like a rainy season or whatever. Let me know. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I am sending you my love always.